Hello everyone, it's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam. Hello. We haven't seen you in a very long time.
Just yesterday.
I didn't see you. You're not here on Friday. You're not here yesterday.
Wasn't I here Friday? I was here Friday.
No, you weren't here Thursday, Friday, Monday.
We miss you.
I'm back.
You had time to do your hair, we can see.
Yeah, I had time to do my hair, had time to rest a bit, and then had time to concentrate on my group. I call it the Lifestyle with ML group, which is the keto group with my ladies. And it's been 3 weeks. We've just gone into week 3. The ladies are already talking about not just weight loss, their glowing skin, how happier they are, how they fit into their clothes better, and I'm so happy.
So what do I do to join the group? When I'm ready, I just join? Or
when you're ready, you join us in August.
New group, or a new group in August.
Yes.
Nice. I like it.
I'm actually a silent observer in the group. And I like
to. I begin with.
No, I'm just observing. But I'm getting tempted, you know. I see the things, the pose, the kind of food you're supposed to eat.
Put me in the group now.
And I'm feeling, should I join these people? If I join them, I will vanish.
It's join me so I start getting ideas on how to start. Anyways, good to know that your group is ongoing. I mean, so instead of me starting a whole new followership over my weight loss plan, I might as well just
you and I already started, so you just go back to how you used to eat. That's all.
I know. I'm just saying, trying to get more people to join us in that journey, because a lot of people want to lose weight. So it's been nice. I actually wanted to start a group where we're all working towards that goal. But since you already have a group, maybe I don't need to just join the group. Get everybody to just join your group. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm grateful to God.
This tie.
I love it.
This is my bead tie.
Beautiful.
Beaded tie. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just getting ready for my program, doing all the planning, making sure the facilitators are ready, the affiliation with the London
somebody. I don't know who to pay for.
Oh,
actually want to pay.
No, you can donate the amount you want to. Then I will do like a post for people who cannot afford it. Yeah, if you cannot afford it,
so I'll pay for one person.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Mariah has paid for one person.
So whoever wants to learn,
one lucky winner gets a ticket.
Get a ticket.
That's good. Thanks for the support. I saw the video you posted. I was feeling
big. You gotta support each other. You know, you gotta. We are fueling your hustle. Help me to fuel your hustle. Alaja name. See, I'm confessing Alaja who your matter. By God's grace, you go to her. You must go to her.
You should just leave that matter. It's God that calls to her.
Yes, God will call you first. How are you?
I'm very well. People are not looking at where I'm looking. This commissioner's list in Lagos is my serious concern. I want to see who makes it for environment, and who makes it for
education?
Works. No, education. Lagos State I think they are doing well. They are doing well. If you compare them to other states, they are almost there. They're not there yet, but they're almost. But when it comes to this environment thing, we're dying in the waste. Since that structure of Loma was broken down, they've not got themselves back
at all.
We are just screaming and shouting. We're waiting for them to get themselves back. I can't wait. Who makes the list for environment knows he has a lot on his plate. Right. If you just travel from Agbara to Lagos, you know you'll be packing waste. I think we should start looking seriously into recycling. Also, I need it to. They should have a proper plan, a 2-year plan of what to do with the waste, because what they can generate, they can.
I know somebody that told me that she actually made a proposal to the government so many years ago on recycling. Nothing ever happened in Nigeria politics.
I know there's a place in Ajekule, I think it's a school. They have people bring their waste, that's plastic waste, and then they use it to build.
Fees.
Yes. Instead of paying fees, you bring your plastic bottles to the school.
Well, you don't want to tell us how your son, how my foggy ended up in that picture with Anthony Joshua.
Oh, my son.
Joshua! I didn't see that. I was hanging out with
my son.
What happened?
I don't know. I was just outside, just running errands. I pick up my phone just to look. And then I see my son and Anthony Joshua. I'm like, you know, I looked at the picture at first. I was not sure. I was like, is this my son? Maybe it's not. No, he went for his football practice on a Saturday at the National Stadium. As far as I was concerned, he was at home just waiting for me. I didn't know that he had actually met Anthony Joshua. So when I asked him, I was like, so how was it? He was like, well, we didn't talk much. We just shook hands and took a selfie.
The whole world is
I'm telling you, I was just amazed.
You know what I like about that boy? He knows himself. He's very confident.
Confident.
So who took him to the stadium? His dad?
No, his uncle. His uncle takes him every Saturday, but he's football. So everyone is saying that, maybe he'll become a boxer. I said, no.
Well,
This one wants to be a footballer.
Frame of that picture.
With a proper insurance.
Yeah.
You need to frame that picture and keep it, because you don't know where Anthony Johnson will be
I don't even know if he realizes the
No, just keep it so in case
importance of this moment.
Maybe in case tomorrow when he starts to doubt himself, maybe because of age changes when he's an adolescent, remind him that, look at you, you made it, nobody
We have
makes
to run.
it.
But please, the Lagos roads are bad.
Yeah.
The roads, we can't.
The roads are tiring.
There's a car I have to just park in the house. That car doesn't have the ME for this Lagos road. I just say, just stay in the house. You can't go anywhere.
You'll be all right.
Because it's just so bad. Everywhere, potholes everywhere. So please, whoever becomes the commissioner for works,
do something for us.
That person must not, he's not necessarily awarding the contract, but get the public works department
to
working.
fill up the potholes.
Fashola use that department, eh?
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we're going to go through the top stories of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, let's start with The Nation. The one on killing of Nigerians in South Africa says enough. Obasanjo to Buhari, act now to keep Nigeria one. Don't politicize Olakunri's death, presidency urges leaders. Adebanjo, Balariba, Musa, Sage disagree on ex-president's letter. Labour to NEC, don't raise tariff. Governor Makinde declares 48 billion naira personal assets. The gown, according to Obiajulu. Government abducts Siasia's mom and others. Sex for Mark lecturer claims set up. And police arrest suspects in Olakunri's murder. Okay, let's start with Makinde's story.
Okay.
Oh, South Africa, you want to start with that? Go ahead.
Let's start. The picture story. So, Senate President Ahmed Lawan met with the High Commissioner to South Africa. He came, and then he was just talking to him about the killings of the Elizabeth Chukwu that just happened recently in her hotel. And he was saying that there are over 118 Nigerians that have been killed so far in South Africa, and 13 out of those were killed by the South African police. And that Nigerians have had enough and will not condone it anymore. I do not know. We're not condoning it before, but maybe what he means is that right now, they must investigate it, he's saying. And then he said that, we made enormous contributions to South Africa when they were going through their apartheid rule. And we're doing so much to protect their businesses right now in Nigeria. Why are we getting such treatment
from them?
from
I
South
agree.
It's been our sentiments from day one.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the gunmen abducting Siasia's mom. Who has that story?
So the mother of the former coach of the Super Eagles, who's 80 years old, was abducted from her home in Ogoni a few days ago. And this same fate happened to her in November 2015, where she was abducted. She was kept with the kidnappers for about 13 days. The younger brother to the former coach is saying that they didn't even allow her to take her drugs. She's hypertensive, so she couldn't take her drugs, and they also abducted 2 other women from the same village. I just hope that she will be fine, because she can't even remember any number to call, so they may not even be able to reach anybody for ransom or anything. I just pray that these people are okay.
It reminds me of Mikel Obi. His father was kidnapped twice as well. So they just target these families.
Who's this lady? Okonjo-Iweala's mother at some point was also kidnapped at some point. Moving on now to The Punch. In new letter to Buhari, Obasanjo warns of Rwanda-like genocide, urges national confab. Herdsman menace growing as president has treated killings with levity. National Assembly members receive and decried 12.3 billion naira welcome package. Typographical errors kept man in prison for 14 years after pardon. Herdsman behead father and son in fresh Plateau attacks. Tribunal watches Atiku's video evidence on presidential poll petition. Makinde declares 48 billion naira firms and other assets. Don't politicize Fire Sonoriti's daughter's death, says presidency. Lots of stories
in
in Punch.
This human interest story caught my attention, and it's quite painful. So this man, Derek Adai, was arrested in Thailand for drug peddling. That was in 2000. He was repatriated to Nigeria in 2005. And the investigations concluded that, he wasn't guilty because he wasn't necessarily convicted. But there was a pardon list from the presidency then under Obasanjo that came, and his name was supposed to be on it. Somebody typed wrongly and repeated 2 names to make 30 people on the one person's name twice to make 30 people on the list, and his name wasn't there as someone took it back to the presidency and said, will be corrected in 2 days. 2 days turned to be 14 years. Thankfully for the influence of the of Obate Joshua in his case, and that's how he got freed from this issue. 14 years. If not, he might have remained there for
like negligence. Like somebody complains and you just feel like, oh, that was
not just
18 years. That's nonchalant behavior.
That's the word. That's the word.
Will he be compensated?
People should always imagine when you need to do a job that will cost you just a flick of your pen.
Yeah.
Do it quickly.
Hey.
Do it quickly. You don't know how it affects people's lives. And this man was saying on the state of the prisons, maybe where you people visited, where the carry camera was the maximum, where that there's no skill acquisition for that 14 years, nothing was working. This is the second person on a larger media level talking about the state of the prisons. We can't continue to pay lip service to what is happening in that place.
Let's talk about Governor Mackenzie saying that his assets, 48 billion naira.
Yes,
I'm really happy that at least a governor at our time, he's actually declaring his assets. He's saying he has 240 million naira cash in hand. I think $30,000 plus dollars. He has properties, houses. So the man has money.
In the US,
so if you see the man,
he has money.
He has money.
I was reading at some point, I was shaking.
Did the CCB declare this as the properties having been investigated?
Yes. Well, that's what he's declared right now.
That's what he declared to the public. So CCB do your job, so we don't have a Saraki repetition.
He's also encouraging members of his cabinet to do the same. Same thing. And I hope that other governors
will follow suit.
We are encouraging all the governors. Okay. So you know your name. Please
quickly, National Assembly members have finally collected their welcome allowance, welcome package. And some of the senators collected about 30 million each.
That's all.
And yes, each.
That's
the representatives, yes, I read it now. Representatives collected about 25 million each. And some of them were complaining.
Wait, 25 million for reps?
Yes. So it's here, you can look at it. Some of them were complaining that it went below what it was below their expectation.
Please, can you name the names
that
of
the
those
money, no, they didn't call their names, that the money is small. And I'm wondering, we've been talking about 30,000 naira minimum
when you
wage
look at what the money was.
Allowance now.
The allowance
set up allowance,
is
accommodation, and all that.
Yes,
so,
they still have the one that they pay them every month.
You know that they are
30 million.
With their level. They're not able to stay for Gwari. They have to stay in Gwarimpa, Maitama, and some of these things cost money.
Please, can we pay our
if you look at
workers?
the cost of rent for 4 years in those places, it's not enough money.
Listen, let's get it right.
Let's be serious.
They are salaries.
Yes.
And these are allowances to help them set up their offices.
Yes.
Many of them are first-time senators and lawmakers.
Yes.
So they have no offices,
And
they have nothing.
Yes.
Remember the last ones they're living with their dispensers, their printers, so they don't have to buy new ones. So,
so 30 million for one person is not too much, and we have not paid 30,000 naira minimum wage. Let's be real.
We need a deliberate policy to recover the legislative quotas in Akpo. That's all.
Moving on
because
we
cannot afford 30,000 naira minimum wage.
Let's move on to daily son. Anger over insecurity. I fear uprise in Nigeria's breakup, says Obasanjo. Supreme Court dismisses suit against Wike. SARS operatives kill Lagos residents. Atiku versus Buhari. Tribunal accepts PDP APC's video evidence. Anambra ejects disbanded market union. Amatas from Traders House and hands office over to Asmata, the new market association. And army launches manhunt for the soldier that stole billions. So yesterday we thought it was millions, but now we're hearing it's billions.
They will never find that one. No.
Hey.
They will find him. No. Where will he take billions?
Brazil. People like that get a passport and go to Brazil.
Yeah, but they'll find him. But are we going to talk about the letter that has been written?
Yes, Baba's letter.
Okay. Yes.
I can't wait for that.
Yes, I have it. I listed out points that, first of all, I like the tone of this letter. Okay. I like it because it was honest, it was factual. There's no unnecessary insults, no lies, no exaggeration. So because of the tone of that letter, you have no excuse but to pay attention to the facts of the matter. Okay. And the thing is, he mentioned everything that we're going through right now. And he also sort of proffered solutions to what we can do. Okay. And for me, I've been seeing a lot of, in the papers, a lot of people saying he shouldn't have said it, he's inciting. And I think that for those people who are saying that you are the one that does not have the best interest of our country at heart. So he says that the unity, we need to do no consensus, that there's no, right now what's happening in Nigeria is that there's no consensus in the issues of national unity, stability, cooperation, development, growth, and progress. When he mentioned that, he was talking about how when something happens, a tribe is being said, is being said to have done it, or a particular ethnic group. And the reason why this is happening is when the thing was a small problem, you didn't handle it properly, and now it has become something that would cause
all the former governors, former military generals, everybody to come together. Yes. Because the truth is that we need to have a dialogue. And he also emphasized that diversity in unity that is important.
I love that.
So he keeps repeating that phrase.
That's our strength. If you're not capitalizing on it, you're missing. But then again, then ask for a confab. Who does that? How many confab will we do?
He's asking for another confab.
How many will we do before we get to where we are going? So please, everything he said should be taken seriously. I sat down for 1 hour yesterday and looked for every error that I can find.
I didn't find
So stop attacking the messenger and look at the message.
Our dear assistant president, no, not assistant president, Garba Shehu, right?
Senior special on media.
He came out and said that don't politicize. Right now, we are all mourning Pashoranti's daughter's death. So please don't politicize this issue.
Can I say to him not to hide behind the death of the woman?
Obviously, he's hiding behind the death of this woman.
Please.
Because the issues Baba raised are issues that we all know are the real issues we're going through. So it's either you confront it
there's also a
or you
thing
don't.
He said that I wish that Garba Shehu would be saying to the president, which is that this is a scream about your people being behind crime, using your tribe to color crime. You should have a strong stand. The president should be seen, shouting, being the one speaking against it. Even if his people had a grievance, saying they have a legitimate grievance, but I stand against crime.
Let's move on quickly.
I clearly stand against it.
Let's just run through Vanguard very quickly. Danger ahead if Nigeria resorts to self-help. We talked about that already. Travails of teenage mothers in Plateau State. Tribunal overrules Buhari, plays articles, video evidence, and inflation rate drops to 11.22% in June. Let's move on very quickly now to Daily Trust. Obasanjo to Buhari, Nigeria approaching tipping point. Picture story here, several fear dead as building collapses in Jos. Tribunal, INEC, Buhari, APC object as Atiku plays poll video. And Professor Bande, what I'll do as the United Nations General Assembly President. You have that story?
Let me just quickly summarize it. Yeah. Professor Bande is our permanent representative to the UN General Assembly and the present president of the 74th General Assembly. And he's saying that I'll focus on 3 things. Sustainable development goals, the SDGs, peace and security among others. That, he's not going to say what others did that he would do differently. He's just going to say what he thinks would change the situation in Africa.
Those are the top stories today. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we should have an interesting show for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, we have been discussing the issue of rape in our society, especially the alleged story of Busola Dakolo and Pastor Fatoyinbo. However, different people have been coming out to say their views on this story, especially the controversial journalist Kemi Olunloyo, who claimed she has enough evidence to prove Busola Dakolo was lied, actually, in her interview. Now, the objective on the show, today is to hear both sides of the story, understand where the journalist is coming from, and also understand the point where Busola Dakolo's team is coming from. So joining us first on the show is the journalist and the pharmacist, Kemi Olunloyo. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you so much for having me, Mariah. Thank you, ladies.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag TVC so we can read your tweets. Before the end of the show, we will have representatives from Busola Dakolo's team. I think Chude is on his way, and Yemi Adamalekun would be here right after this interview. But first, it's important that we have a conversation with you.
Yes.
You seem to be holding brief for Pastor Fatoyinbo from your posts, saying that Busola's testimony was rigged with lies, and you're trying to puncture that her allegations. And as much as everybody has the freedom of speech, because many people agree that the issue is beyond Busola, there are lots of young girls, lots of women that have been raped by men in authority. So a lot of people wanted to anchor on this story to help bring some kind of succor to those, of make sure they get justice.
Yeah.
So when you come up with these allegations or objections, it somewhat beclouds the entire objective. So help us understand, first of all, those points you made, how you came about them, and why you thought it was important to bring them out at this point.
Okay, what I want to tell Nigerians is that, first of all, I'm an investigative journalist, okay? I'm a journalist, but I specialize in investigations. I'm not an investigator. I'm not a detective. I'm just an investigative journalist. I investigate stories. I detect lies in stories. In this day and age, we have what they call media freedom. We used to say journalism is not a crime. We used to say truth never dies. We're still on truth never dies. But this year, it's defending media freedom. We're not here to take sides, and we're not here to be neutral. We're here for the truth. That's what we're doing, and that's why I'm here. A lot of people, like you said, on social media have said that Kemi's taking sides with the pastor. People are saying the pastor has paid me heavily. People are saying, I don't know the pastor. I don't know Pastor Fatoyinbo. I've never met him. I did not even know the word COSA until 2 weeks ago. I didn't know it stood for Commonwealth of Zion Assembly. But I knew a pastor called Biodun Fatoyinbo. I just knew him as an internet sensation, Gucci pastor. That was his nickname. And so it's like, you know, you have all these Gucci ambassadors in Nigeria all over the place. But anyway, that's what I knew. Flamboyant pastor, he has great whatever. And you know, I've been arrested by a pastor, and I know how that feels. Coming from this angle, we're women. I'm a feminist. I fought for gender equality. The Senate spoke to me on Twitter. I know how it is. I love women. I'm a woman. And I don't have a daughter, but I have 3 sons. The way I came on this story was I have to be very sensitive. Rape is a very sensitive issue, okay? I have been fondled, okay, and I've been stripped naked in Ikorodu Road during the Ali Moscow, but I wasn't raped. So I know how it is with sexual violence. I heard Busola's story. I listened to her interview a total of 35 times. And I said, I have to do this story. Google, Facebook, I'm a creator in all those places. That's how I make my money. Okay, nobody pays me. You cannot bribe me. Investigative journalism is investigative journalism. So what I did was I analyzed the story. I looked at what Chude did. Chude is very intelligent. This is the kid that started at NTA at 15, and he interviewed a sitting president, Jonathan. However, Chude did not do some things right in that interview, okay? Angles from Busola's story, there were elements of lies. The first element of lie in Busola's story, there was no timeline in that entire interview. Did you guys notice that at all? I always say, oh, focus on the bigger picture. Always focus on the bigger picture. There was no timeline in that interview. When I say timeline, people mock me on the internet, they laugh. I'm Kemi Olunloyo, live from Ibadan, Nigeria, time, date. She never said a date or time. She just told a story. So that was the first thing I said. There's no timeline in this interview. So now the whole social media, the court of social media, judge and jury of social media have said, oh, 1999, 2002, baby wasn't born, there was no Mercedes, blah, blah, blah. That's where we have a problem now. Here's a pastor, a man of God, a man of power, easily can be defamed by a woman. We're women. I lived in America.
Okay, let me pause you for a quick second. Let me let Nima jump in first.
So I hear you say, I investigated the story. I'd love that, you know, investigation would of course have an interview with Fatoyinbo. At least that would be take the other side.
Okay.
Apart from that, anybody, in fact, a lot of Nigerians were on the other side. Some people just had, no, she cannot be correct. Some people judged how she would react to shock, which is different per person. Right. Psychologists have come out to say people react to shock differently. Some people can quickly recover, while some people will take years to recover. Some people will even get into amnesia. It's not an African thing, but it happens.
Yes.
And it's difficult for us to understand that.
Yeah.
So that is on one side. A lot of people had other arguments punching holes, saying, he did it the first time, how come he did it the second time? Yes, people did all that. People analyzed from different angles. But when I hear you say investigative journalism, I would expect that
first step,
you either spoke with one of the witnesses she outlined, which was the brother who confronted, the wife, you know, or, you know, verified for a fact that that child has a birth certificate dated so and so, which is not corresponding. Those are, you know, I don't know whether you're following me.
I'm following you. Nima, you're a lawyer, okay? And I'm an investigative journalist. In journalism, you go to the source, the newsmaker. The first thing I did when I wanted to start this investigation, I sent a message to Chude Dakolo. Actually, I sent a message to Busola. Hi, Busola, this is Kemi Olunloyo, investigative journalist. I just watched your interview. I'd like to speak to you. I took it, I copied it, I pasted it. Timmy, I just sent this to your wife. with my phone number, my personal phone number. The next day, my phone number was online. Chude Dakolo released my DM in Instagram to the world just to maybe suffer me. I don't know why he did it, but my phone rang 585 times. I took the SIM card, I put it in my son's, it was still ringing. It was not right. You must either confirm or deny or just accept an interview. They did not respond to me. Just because my phone number was out there, I just forgot about it. They were not going to do an interview.
So you reached out to the...
So I reached out to COSA. And you as a lawyer, I contacted COSA lawyers, COSA congregation members, mostly in Lagos ones. Abuja people, I don't know. But this is how you reach out. You put out a news tip, just like I did with that pastor case of mine. Do you go to COSA? Do you know about this case? Have you seen it in the news? Contact me. My news mailbox, 589 messages. And that's how I started investigating. How do you investigate the other side? I sent a message to COSA lawyers that I wanted to view Beautiful Toimbo. But you know what happened to me? All I saw were people from other churches. They went in front of his church that Sunday. Pastor, step down, placards. And they forced him off the pulpit. I could not interview him anymore.
Were you there?
No. I was watching this online. Okay. I wanted to interview the pastor, but they forced him off the pulpit. They had placards, they had also, he just left.
All right,
and he said he's not, the Lord told him to just, and I couldn't interview him.
All right, ma. So we've had cases where you've called out different people.
Yes.
On social media for their lives. We have a case with the Iyabojo, still ongoing, and some of the things checked out to be lies. We also have, I remember when Linda Keji was pregnant, you called her out severally on her baby
Linda
bump,
was never pregnant.
Which was fake.
Linda was never
we've
pregnant.
We've seen the baby and...
The baby was a surrogate baby.
So
the baby
people have this notion that you just come out and give false information about people.
People say that you're mentally unstable.
They have the notion.
Yeah.
They have the notion.
Yeah, that you say things that don't check out to be true.
Because we're Nigerians, we don't like the truth.
How do you think now, coming to say that there are holes in Busola's story, that people will believe what you're saying?
Okay, Nigerians don't have to believe what I'm saying. I was trained in the United States, where everything is under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Our people in Nigeria don't understand press freedom. I can tell Donald Trump now, you're racist, you look like a monkey, even though you're white. They wouldn't arrest me. Donald Trump doesn't care. But in Nigeria, I'll be arrested, I'll be castigated, you know what I mean? Linda Keji was never pregnant. I gave all the proof.
Well,
I had people. This is not what we're talking about on this show. Iyabojo's phone number was linked to whoever sent me what sent me to jail. Truecaller and Instagram. That's why they dropped the case. The judge dropped the case because Instagram said it came from somebody.
Going back to the issue.
I have, let me say this, Mariah. Yeah. Over the weekend, go to my timeline on Instagram. You'll see I did something called journalism case studies. I use Linda, I use Iyabo. You saw it. You have to get ready for this. We can solve cases of herdsmen, everything. I can solve everything. The 233 million in that secret NPC account, I can solve it. Okay, Nigerians have to be ready for me.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, because I was saying earlier that you've told us several times that you have PTSD. That So a lot of people always take whatever you say with a pinch of salt. That
PTSD.
She's crazy.
No, it's not about crazy. I told you on PTSD Day, Mariah, PTSD is not a mental illness. It's a mental disorder. It's a human experience. Trauma itself is a human experience. Mariah, if you go out there now and you're robbed, God forbid, you're robbed, you're shot, you're going to have trauma. That's a human experience. And then you have PTSD.
When we come back,
so it's not about mental illnesses.
At some point, we'll bring on Chude and I think Yemi Adamulekun to help us shed more light on this case of Busola's story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We have with us Kemi Olunloyo, still talking on the Busola Dakolo matter. Yes, go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, so when I came here with an open mind, and I said, I'll just listen to you.
Very good.
I read a little of what you said was the discrepancy in her story, which is she couldn't have been 19 because the year she mentioned she would have already been 20, you know. But the thing is that you did not say for certain, your investigation does not say for certain that she wasn't raped or she wasn't, what's the word? Not no, that she wasn't, either she wasn't raped or that
advantage of her.
the incident didn't happen, or however it happened, something happened. So it does not say that. It just says 19. She may have been 20. If she was 20, then she was not a child anymore.
Like you're playing conspiracy theories.
So for me now is, why would you want that to be what you would use to invalidate a story as... Sorry, I don't want to point my finger at you. Story as serious as that. For a lot of women, I mean, we sit down here, we're made up and we look like we're nice. You talked about your situation. I have many personal stories, that when I say, and I find I almost get upset. I get angry when someone comes, not with enough evidence to point out that the person is telling a lie, but you're just sitting down. It seems to me, just pulling at straws to just make yourself like the star of the story. That's how it comes across. But to be honest with you, I came here really with an open mind. I wanted to listen to you. And so far, I haven't heard anything
so it seems like, thank you very much, Mariam. It seems like you've hijacked this opportunity.
Made it yours.
To made it yours. That's what I'm hearing.
Let me correct you there. Marian, you said something just now that it seems that I haven't really come to a conclusion whether she was raped or not. I have actually done that.
Okay.
You didn't follow me on Twitter. It's on my pinned tweet. Okay. I wrote... apologize, Busola, confess, Busola, apologize. I wrote it like 50 times. I've concluded that she was not raped by that pastor. I have actually concluded that, but my investigation hasn't finished.
No, Kemi.
Nothing happened. And I'll have my evidence if you want to hear it.
Please,
very briefly.
You concluded this without even talking to Pastor Imbo?
No. In a newsmaker situation, when you're an investigative journalist, you may not have opportunity to speak to the other newsmaker.
Right.
This is why in America we tell people, if somebody was shot, quickly ask them their name, their phone number, their family, because they might die. You know what I mean? Busola had several holes in the story. You go to the people outside the newsmaker, the family, the friends. And that's the same situation I did with the girl that they said Chude covered.
So have you considered, Kemi, the fact that when somebody goes through something as traumatic as you have, as rape, it takes years. And obviously some of the stories might be fuzzy. You may not get all the details, but what you know for a fact is that it happened and you were raped without your own permission.
A lot of people are raped in America. A lot of people were raped by Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. They came out 40 years later, 20 years later. I'm very well aware.
They got a conviction.
And they got a conviction.
So how impossible is
But
it?
let me now tell you guys where I happened to do this story. The biggest thing in this story, who is investigating this story? You said the star of the story hijacked the story. I'm not here to be a star of the story. You guys should be investigating this. TVC, channels, AIT, all of you should be investigating this story. What are your reporters doing? It took an independent journalist, but let me say this. I'm not trying to be the star of the story. I'm an investigative and an independent journalist.
Right.
And what I have seen here, hold on for me 1 second. What I have seen here, okay, it's not adding up. The first thing is there's no timeline. Everybody did their mathematics. She's 36. You subtract that with 16, 1999. I babysat. He raped me in my house. Then he called me to come and babysit his child. Okay, a child that didn't exist in 2002. He raped me on our way there on a car that was not even existing until 2003. That's how you investigate as an investigative journalist. Busola had holes everywhere in her story. And a lot of other things were what people said about her. Oh, I slapped my driver at 10. A sister told me she never did that. It was made up. There's more stuff that maybe this show cannot even take. You know what I mean?
All right. So for me, I have a friend, a very close friend who was raped at 16. She's about 31 now. And I've been the only one she's told that story.
Yeah.
And when she was giving me that story, I could feel the pain from that story. But she hasn't told her parents, she hasn't told anybody.
It's normal.
And till today, she's finding it difficult to get into a relationship.
Yeah.
What advice, because the whole thing seems to me like people who are already scared of coming out to share that story
are not going to come out now.
Are not going to come out again to share that story. It seems like everybody is trying to put holes in that story, and that will keep them in that trauma for a very long time.
I'll tell you one thing about that.
Should people still come out to share their story, not being afraid that these kind of things will happen?
I want to ask you a question, a counter question to that. Chude Dakolo was in a rape campaign in 2015. He said on that campaign, it's on Instagram, I have 2 daughters. If my daughters were raped, I don't know what would happen. I would die. And he knew his wife was raped right before that campaign. Why didn't he come out? Why did he use innuendos? Timmy, if you're watching at home, why did you use innuendos? This is a pastor. You could have gone to the pastor, carry a lawyer with you, and then work it out.
I remember you were
went to the
fondled
media
as a child.
I was fondled as a child.
As a child.
It took me 54.
And you talked
48
about
years.
it. And how did you feel when people just, said, don't mind her?
She's not telling the truth.
No, she has PTSD. People came out with all sorts of
We need to
analysis.
go past that. We need to go past that. Everybody can get PTSD.
Now, you're not giving
this
Chude
afternoon.
any credit in this.
No,
Do you
Chude is
think-
not. Chude is the
hold on a
interviewer.
minute. Chude is a lawyer. Chude is a journalist.
Right.
Chude went into journalism as young as 15. He's been in the business for a while. Do you think he will break a story that a defamation suit can time down forever and he will not verify facts? Now, number two, is a person who has been affected by the trauma of life or the experiences of life, like you call it, which is what I would call what Busola has been through.
Right.
Should the person have...
Busola has allegedly been through. We don't know if she's been through it.
Should the person have watertight stories that, facts and events must match, cars and everything must match?
This is the internet age. Nima, this is the internet age. If there was no Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, how would the story come out in the media?
Hold on,
we had radio, TV, and
she
newspaper.
sat on an interview and had to recount an experience.
Where would you air that interview?
I didn't expect that thing to have been edited.
It was edited.
It wasn't. I didn't expect
has to be edited.
I didn't expect facts to match.
into
All I
pieces.
wanted to see was a perfection, and I would doubt that story.
Okay, now I doubt that story perfectly because social media is used to fuel the story. Listen, you TV guys, if there was no social media, including YouTube, where would Chude air his interview? Nowhere. It'll be panning in the radio, television as news, and newspaper as writing. But because it's social media, the Dakolos use social media to pump their story up. I'm saying to you,
pause for a quick second.
Yeah.
I hear you very clearly, and I understand you. However, I try to make you understand that this is beyond Busola. Whatever it is we're doing this morning is actually beyond Busola.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
There's a young girl
victims
out there who is a victim today.
There's 5
And
a
they
day.
need a voice. Now, Timmy, Chude coming out with this interview is helping us have this story as that anchor to help us ensure girls in those shoes get justice.
I understand.
But when an international journalist like Kemi Olunloyo begins to punch holes, it totally
defeats the
entire
No,
purpose.
it's just intimidation that Nigerians think I have.
Okay.
Nima said something just now. Chude is a lawyer and a journalist. Kemi is a pharmacist and a journalist. When it came to a drink, and Busola said the rapist went to the car and bought a drink, a bitter lemon drink, and poured it in her mouth. As a pharmacist, why would a rapist, who could have even laced that with drugs, why would you open your mouth and let them pour
She's
it?
just been raped.
No,
Did it happen?
You're not giving her credit.
Did it
Kemi,
happen?
I'd like you to speak with Dr. Memuna for
Did it
instance,
happen?
because
No,
I'd
did
like you
it
to speak with
happen?
Dr. Memuna for instance and
So I can't
analyze.
tell people what
Hold on a
Bill
minute.
was doing.
We'll have the other side here, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with that other side. So we'll have Dr. Memuna sit and tell you that a person going through trauma will be prepared for not take a drink. You could hold the head of an underage, now under 18, and the person would not swallow the drink.
Okay.
But
Nima,
we've seen people being forced in the court initiation take poison.
Nima, our people were saying the drink was to silence her from the sister who she alleged was upstairs.
No.
I told people, on my page is viral. I'm the only one covering this. I told people it's not to cover her mouth or to make her gurgle because of the person. I told people why that bitter lemon was used as a contraception. That's what I told people. Okay.
And I come back, the other party is already here. But we'll give you 5 more minutes to clear a few more questions before we take you off the show. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Mariam, go ahead.
Okay, so, Madam Kemi, for me, I don't agree with you.
Oh, okay,
So
Mariam.
we're on different sides here.
Yes.
But I would like to know what your aim is, really, apart from just talking about the discrepancy in the story. Who are you trying to say Busola Dakolo is, and why do you think she's doing this?
Busola Dakolo is the wife of a singer, okay? She's not a celebrity. She's now branding herself as a celebrity photographer, okay? I haven't seen her works. This is an attempt to really use clout to become bigger. There are bigger factors in this case. There are sponsors in this case. There are elements of sponsors everywhere in this case. Journalists have been fired at Punch for the cartoon. There's a web going around Vanguard. A musician, Kiss Daniel, has sued Vanguard for $100 million. It's a long, big web. I'll do a chart later on this week of how this thing might be. And the chart has to be careful because these are allegations. You have to use words like allegedly and allegations according to the AP style book. That's the AP style book is the book that trains journalists of what words we have to use. Nigerians don't know that. So Busola is after fame. Right. Timmy is after fame. Wow. It is clout. It is trying to defame a pastor. But defamation can be very criminal. Now, hold on. We're a country where defamation is criminal. I went to prison 3 times 6 months for a criminal defamation case. Defamation is civil in most civil countries.
Let me pause it for a quick second. If defamation is such is civil, shouldn't
it's
Pastor?
Not civil in Nigeria.
Shouldn't Pastor Fatou have actually filed for defamation?
Exactly.
Should Pastor Fatou not have filed for defamation that Monday morning?
No.
If indeed
the pastor needs to hear what the police has to say. This investigation is not Kemi Olunloyo. It's not Ken. It's the police. The police has the final say.
There's
and
another
when they
side
say
to this
he's
story.
innocent, if he goes after her,
there's another young lady affected by this story.
Oh yes.
One of the defense of Chude and his team on this is that they took the story because it keeps happening.
Yeah.
It's not just Busola's account, but several other ladies.
Yes.
Hundreds of ladies.
Girls, many people raped.
So why did you now go and expose a young lady who wished not to benefit from this, but share our experience as well, help in the investigation, but not to benefit from, like you said, Busola wanted to become popular. Maybe she has an agenda to become a celebrity photographer from this story.
That's a good question. I'm going to answer that because the whole of Nigeria wants to hear that. I went to #1 on Twitter. Twitter trends don't matter to me. I trend all the time. Let me tell you, Nima, the reason why I did that, okay? It's an ethic of journalism. In journalism, many people said you don't expose the source. You're right, we don't. The sources are very confidential. You witness a murder, you tell me, I don't mention your name. Why did I expose Tumishe Oluyede? Partly because of Chude's fault. When somebody comes to you and say they want to talk about being raped by that pastor too, okay? You cover their face, you cover their body, but you didn't cover her voice. People came to me before I even finished watching the interview. I know her voice. And I know Tumishe.
But they could be mistaken.
Wait, I know her. She's a writer. She's a public figure. She's a writer. She makes films and everything. I recognize her voice too. And I had to go and verify. So I called the COSA people. Okay? And they said, yes, she was fired because she was supposed to go to Dubai and do work, but she didn't. And she's disgruntled. But remember what Tumishe was saying. Tumishe was saying...
What if she didn't go to Dubai because she was scared of a repetition?
No, she went there.
What if your sources are wrong?
But listen, she went to Dubai. Okay? She might deny it. I know my source, and my source is
Let me take
legal.
this call from Babajide. He's been holding for a while. Babajide, are you there? Hang in there, please.
Yeah,
thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute to this, but
yes.
I just want to do this because you people are in position to correct a lot of anomalies.
Okay.
I wanted to know that there are a lot of arranged obviousness in the society. And people that really have the power of the media will exploit that to do a lot of things. If certain things happened some years back, there are channels at which this thing could be that could be used. The law has not been explored. Nothing. It's just a noise. What about if this guy is innocent? Now, somebody who has not been proved to be guilty, you went to the church, raising placard, and he was forced to leave the place because there was a proper pulpit to preach the message of rape. So please, we have to address this thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We have very little time. Let's take a few tweets.
Okay, Omobolaho says, even with what Kemi just said, I could punch a lie. If she didn't know about COSA until 2 weeks ago, but she knew Biodu Fatoyibo and his sobriquet on the media as the Gucci pastor, then it brings her investigative journalism to question. Yena says, investigative journalism indeed. You must investigate both sides, so where is your objectivity? Tune says, please, what happened to the investigated facts? Let's just stop all these sentiments. And Dio says, tell her to give us the steps involved in her investigation, the people she actually investigated.
So,
I can do all that.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay. I can do all that.
You have a list.
For example, when we're talking about Ms. Oluyede Tumishe, who covered her face, Chude did not do something that journalists are supposed to do, blur her voice. Everybody heard her voice. I even heard her voice. She's not a source in journalism. If she was sitting down covered up and said, he raped this one, he raped that one, then cover everything. She's a source. People were saying that she was assault. She's not assault. She's claiming rape. Look at her interview. She specifically said, and when he took off his pants, he did what he had to do. Tumise did not say he raped. Tumise did not say the pastor raped her. He did what he had to do. What did he do? What did he do? Tumise did not say what the pastor did. She was not raped.
Let me ask you, ma, are you in support of rape? I want you to state it.
I'm not in support of rape. I have a campaign I did in Canada. I detest sexual violence. I'm going to bring it back to Nigeria. I am not in support of rape. But if I see my children are 32, 28, and 18. If any of my boys come to me and I see Tumise in Chude's interview saying my son raped her, I want to see the face of that woman. I want to know who that woman is. My children will be dealt with mercilessly. Okay. My kids know they're going to prison.
Right now, I have to bring in.
So that's it. Really, never in support of rape. We should be.
Because the truth is that we don't. There are two sides of this.
We can't finish this on a.
We can't finish this show. A lot of people support or believe Busola. Some don't.
Sympathy.
And it's important that you came on to help us understand why those people don't. But now we're going to talk to Busola's team and see. If they're able to debunk some of your claims, and also what they're doing to ensure, if indeed she was raped, what they're doing to ensure she gets justice. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on the show is a human rights activist and a member of Not in My Church movement that was set up by Busola Dakolo. We have with us Kemi Olunloyo, and also we have the Nigerian lawyer, journalist, and media entrepreneur, Chude Jideonwo. Welcome, both of you, to the show. So Chude happens to be the one. So Chude happens to be the one that did the interview, and Kemi Olunloyo is part of the Not in My Church movement that Busola Dakolo set up. Now, unfortunately, you're not here when Kemi Olunloyo was talking earlier, but Kemi was here. And she said a lot of things. And it's important that we're all on the same page, because the entire objective, I said earlier, is that a young girl who is being raped by an authority should have a voice. And we're going to use this as an opportunity to give her, get her justice. Now, a lot of stories. She talked about timelines. Before you came in, Kemi Olunloyo talked about timelines. That how come Busola is coming up and not being able to tell us the time this thing happened versus the time the time that I think she was babysitting, I believe, versus the time that she's actually giving the testimony. Then the issue of the crest drink, saying that that's not possible. Her sister is upstairs. According to her, she had lots of facts saying that these things didn't really happen. So I'd like you, first of all, to tell us the story, the real story, and help us see if you can help us allay those objections. And then you also tell us what you're doing in Busola's group to ensure she and other girls get justice if this thing actually indeed happened.
First, it's not for me to state the facts. It's the people who were allegedly raped, who own the story, who state the facts. I do know that Busola was very clear to me, and I think she said it in the interview. It was a difficult interview to watch, so I haven't watched it after it was published. And she said, I can't be sure if I was 16 or 17 at the time. And, you know, I run Joy Inc., and it's consistent with people who deal with trauma. I mean, when you are raped, you don't, I mean, this is an interesting story. The day that Timmy invited me to come and tell me this story in his house, myself and a friend were going there in the evening, and somebody hit us in my car. My other car is still at home. Hit. And when someone hit us, I was in shock. And I came out of the car, and I was just standing on the road.
Yeah. You didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do. Then my friend began to take photos for the insurance company. And I thought, oh my God, you have such presence of mind to think about recording the facts. A person who is raped, and this is consistent with every research on trauma, doesn't wait to think, okay, let me confirm all the details because somebody is going to doubt my story.
Please.
So that's important. And Busola was clear about that, that, you know, I'm trying to remember these things. It's difficult, you know. And I understood, even though I asked some hard questions, I did understand because I've dealt with trauma. Now, before we published the interview, she made a formal police case. Now, before we published the interview. And in that police case, all the facts were clearly stated. Because then the professionals, her lawyer and her legal firm, a TV show is not a legal case.
Okay, because that's where the question, that's where I was going. I wanted to take Kemi Olunloyo's points, you know, and wanted you to take it one step at a time. Yeah. And the question of her age, if she was 19, meaning she was underage, or 18, or if she was 20, if it was consensual. So, but for what you just said now, that she made a formal report at the police station. So those people have the proper facts and they have the timeline. So, but do you understand why someone like Kemi can come out, and a lot of people will come out, and then punch holes in your story?
No, I don't understand.
Punch holes in the story. So maybe when we need to do these things, maybe we should do it a bit better. We should make sure that there are timelines. We should say our name and the dates that we're saying it.
No. You see, and this is something to note. First and first, Biano Fato hasn't been announced guilty by a court of law. This is still the court of public opinion. Yeah. And in that court, even somebody can wake up tomorrow and say something about you, about me. When the person is telling their story, to demand exactitude is ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
It's exactly the thing that makes women not speak up. Now, we are not saying believe all women. We are saying don't disbelieve all women just because they haven't gotten the facts as if they were in a law court. If they could get all the facts, they would be lawyers. They would have reported the day they were raped. It's important to note, now all of us, many people here are women, you have kids, you have children. This is the first time in the history of this country that a person publicly is accusing a powerful man of rape.
Okay, all right.
Now, if this happens so regularly, why haven't they spoken up?
Right. Nima, go ahead.
So, Chude, Kemi was talking about doing your own due diligence.
Yes.
People went on Twitter and wondered why what we understand rape to be, which is forceful attempt, or, you know, forceful non-consensual sex. Now, the account of Busola was more like somebody in a trance. There was no force. The second account, no force. The lady in question, the second lady, no force as well. Did you do your due diligence to, you know, to extract facts that would help us believe?
Yeah.
You know, what these ladies were saying?
I need to
and is it even possible to have raped someone without the person even lifting a finger?
Yeah. First, I'm unfortunately a lawyer as well.
Unfortunately.
First, rape is not use of force. Rape is sex without expressed consent.
Simple.
That's it. And so once there is no consent, if the person is a minor, there cannot be consent.
Even if at 17,
Busola
told, not said yes, begged Pastor Biodun on her knees weeping.
Yes.
Pastor Biodun, please.
Yes.
Sleep with me. Please. Yes. Please. I will die if you don't sleep with me. I will die. You must. I want to feel the power of God. If you do, I'm saying, if you do it by definition, it is rape. So then that definition about force holds no water.
Unfortunately, this code doesn't apply across the country. It's still a federal act, and it's not everywhere.
True. So you sat face to face with Busola when she narrated.
I've sat face to face with 5 survivors
of the same guy.
We've only released 2 interviews.
Wow. So let's all be clear.
So when somebody says, have I done my due diligence? When I listen to 5 people who don't know themselves and they establish the same pattern, the same case, and they don't even want to be published. They're saying, only tell my story if it will help. That's why we've held it. I'm not interested in getting views or traffic, I'm not even the one that did the other interviews. I only sat in. When you hear that, we've done enough. Yemi has heard the story.
So you sat face to face with her and you heard her story. And I know you to be an intelligent person.
Hopefully.
When she was giving you that narration, what came to your mind? Because what I saw was a woman who was suppressed, who it took a long time. I feel she's still in the healing process. So what gave you that confidence in what she was saying? What empathy did you get from her?
Well, first, Busola, I spoke to her 3 weeks before I did the interview. And in that time, we had our reporters go and confirm certain material facts. Now, Tim is also a friend, even though I wasn't aware of this until he called me to say he wants to tell me this. And in listening to them and asking all the hard questions, I didn't even ask the hard questions on TV because I had had questions beforehand. I mean, I asked her, when I mean, like, I went into, this doesn't make sense, this is ridiculous, and etc. And Busola was a very convincing witness to her own story. Also, I heard 4 other people's stories.
Let me come to Yemi.
Yeah, so.
Let me come to Yemi. Yemi, you're part of this Not in My Church campaign, and a lot of people have said this is just a campaign against the church, against pastors. You know, people are coming to CAN, they're coming to PFN. You know. So, what exactly is the objective of this movement? Are you trying to bring down pastors, men of God? Because we don't see why is it pastors? It's only pastors that are doing this act.
Not at all. In entertainment industry, I'm sure you guys have heard several stories of actresses who are coerced, not by force, or who feel violated because of whatever demands that were placed on them to get what they want. In politics, women talk about it, about being groped, about being manhandled, about being violated. But this was particular because, unlike politics and entertainment, this is a sector that holds itself up to a higher standard. This is a sector that, by its definition, says we don't do this. Now, people go into church, into places of worship, for healing. I mean, there's a popular thing in sort of Christendom that says the church is a hospital. You come in broken and you're healed. The church is a place for everybody at different times of your life. But you don't come into the church to be broken. Not only to be broken, but to be broken by the people who you hold as father figures in positions of authority. It's a Walter story, came out 2013. Fast forward last year, Timmy started shaking this table. I remember sending Timmy a text last year and saying, Timmy, this table you are shaking, what can we do? Do the women want to come out? Do they want justice? Do they need lawyers? And his statement was very clear. They don't want to come out because they're afraid.
You know,
fast forward to this year, he started shaking this table again and then got a bit more descriptive in who he was talking about. But I think what's important for us to take away from this is that from an institution that is set up to protect, to bring redemption, when things like this happen, and the church as an institution is more in denial rather than dealing with it, then there's a challenge. And this is what makes it this is what makes the noise a bit louder. Hold on, before you go on, sorry, Mariah. Look at the sequence, for example, with CAN over 2 weeks. They started off with, he's not our member. Went on to, any rape is a serious allegation, it should be investigated. PFN followed with, you know what, we've set up a committee. So we want to investigate this case with Koza and Mrs. Dakolo and other matters. Then 2 CAN officials did not go in their capacity as pastor of Jerusalem Church. They didn't announce their own churches on stage. What they announced were their offices. CAN chairman FCT, CAN chairman North Central. And 48 hours later, as far as I'm aware, CAN headquarters has not issued a statement to say, no, we didn't send these people. So it's not, it's very disturbing for the institution of the church in that regard. So it's not about bringing down the church or anything.
Okay, let me there's a point that was made, I think, from Kemi's post, that there was no rape, but it was probably consensual. That a lot of people say, how can she say he raped her because she wanted it? Could you help us understand that?
I want to talk about this as a man. In a patriarchal society. One of my friends called me a few weeks ago, and said, Chude, this table you are shaking, if we shake it, a lot of us will fall off it. They said, let us fall.
Always said the same.
Something Amodele, Biodun's wife, said was, my husband is not a rapist. And I thought, you're missing the point. Yes, if he's not a rapist, then he won't go to jail. But all of us have to be responsible for the power we wield. I have gone through, and you know, at some point, I was telling them in one of the conversations, I said, I have compassion. If it is true about Biodun, I have compassion on him because he needs to get help, if it is true. He has a serious problem. And there are many wounded and broken men who are wielding power over women. And this is a time for all of us to take responsibility for the things that we have done and say to the people who we have wielded power over that we are sorry.
This is deep.
Wow. Let me leave. Yeah, so I want to, Yemi, you know, I know you from Bring Back Our Girls movement. I know you from Enough is Enough, you know, and you stand for causes that mean something. And here now, you're standing behind a woman that people are saying she's doing this just for the fame. She's seeking fame. And are you willing? And I'm wondering, do you know this woman well enough? Do you believe, why would you believe her story so much that you put all this, your integrity behind someone like this?
Fantastic.
Two things. I think I've met Busola once, a while ago. But Timmy is someone I'll call a friend. And Timmy has been a supporter of EIE's work for many years. And Timmy is someone I trust. So I'm willing to put my name on the line for a friend that I trust. That's number one. Number two, I'm also a church girl. I grew up in the church. I worked in a church for 4 years. I know stories. And I'm not surprised. Let me put it that way. So there's a personal side of me as Yemi and my journey that understands this. And there's also a friend that I believe in. And to the point about fame, so I'm married, I have 3 daughters, I have a business, I have a career, and I just wake up. Yes. And I just wake up. And I have children, 2 girls. And I just wake up and say, you know what? I need spotlights. I need people to insult me and insult my generations yet unborn. I need people to see my husband on the road and say, hey, this man, look at what this man did. That's what I feel I want to do at this stage in my life. And I wonder, no, we can't. And we can't, and it's tied to this whole culture of victim shaming, that it now suddenly becomes the victim's problem, the survivor's problem. That, oh, your story has holes in it, your story this, your story that. I mean, the whole issue about investigation, you watch Busola's interview, people came to speak. You're not quite sure what their angle is, what their influence is. There's a police case. At no point has anybody said, we have seen the police statements, and we can say that the date she put on the statement, there's an exact date on it, is not correct. There's a statement that, okay, we wanted to interview the other side, but by then he had stepped down from the pulpit. I'm sorry, the pulpit is a piece of wood.
Okay, let me take this call from Kemi. Kemi from Ogudu, are you there?
I'm here.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mariah, and everyone.
Good morning.
Actually, I just want to chip in some little things about this whole issue. You know, initially, I was kind of two-sided. I wasn't sure of what to believe. But, you know, I actually sat down to listen to the tape. And you know, after seeing the video, I believe everything that makes sense. Do you know why I believe? I have a 17-year-old daughter. You know these girls, they are so naive and innocent. They kind of have crushes on men, unknowingly. Especially when you are influencing them. They have a crush on you. But it's left for you to be sensible enough to know that these girls are just kids.
We can't hear you very well.
She's trying to make a case.
I'm trying to get her point because the line is so shaky.
She's trying to make a case from an underage girl.
A parent of an underage girl.
Yes, how they are their
Let me quickly ask this, because a lot of people came out to ask this particular question, saying there have been thousands of girls raped every day that we hear on the radio, we hear on the TV, we read in the papers. Why haven't any of you come out to stand behind them? Is it because Busola has sort of fame? Why is everybody standing behind Busola? We've had other cases. Who has picked up those cases as well? Are they not Nigerians? Are they not human beings?
First, anybody saying that Yemi Alunloyo hasn't obviously followed her work over the past few decades. Decades. You know, also anybody who follows my work knows that this is the work that I do. But you see, it's also it's a non sequitur. Celebrity is important because it forces us to pay attention.
Yes. Okay. Just like Fashionati's daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. When things happen to other people, because we don't know them, it's empathy. Empathy is limited in the human psyche. all of us who are mature psychologists know this. If something happens to somebody you don't know, I can't identify with, your emotional responses are limited. But if it's someone that you know and can identify with, it helps you speak up. There is nothing more powerful for the human experience than to say, oh, it happened to you. Oh, that means that my experience is valid. Yesterday, an ex-girlfriend sent me a message to say, we've known each other for 11 years. Say, Chude, the last time at Ikpori, before I left Lagos, when I stopped, we were talking and I stopped in the car. I said, stop the car. And I started hyperventilating in the car and I said, I want to leave. Just because I just saw the man who raped me. Drive past. I remember, this was 10 years ago, I remember exactly what she was talking about.
Let me take this call from Shola.
So, that's what celebrity does.
Shola from Ogudu, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead,
Hello,
please.
good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for the good work you're doing. First, I'd like to thank Kemi and Chude for what they're doing. I want to encourage you that sometimes we don't work with the voice of majority. In a society like ours, you have to be the light. So I commend Timi. Timi is a man's man. I commend Busola. I love their family. I don't know when people say that she wanted for fame. I can't understand how she risked all she had to bring herself into public space because of fame. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. As a church girl, I've been active in church, and I understand what happens in church systems. We idolize our men of God. We hold them in such high esteem. We almost think that they're next to Jesus Christ. So in that state, they exert undue pressure on people. A lot of people end up being taken advantage of because of where they place their men of God. So it's easy for a man of God that cannot control himself to take advantage of the sisters in the church. These things happen. And I'm happy that Busola has come out to talk about it. I'm happy that we're building up a case so that people can be held accountable. The Bible ensures that we should be accountable for the anointing, for God's word, and for our actions.
Thank you very much, Shola. Thank you very much for your views. Yes, Nema, two questions.
Today, as a lawyer, I've heard lawyers come out and say, I've listened to Busola's account, I listened to the second victim's account. How do we establish rape based on hypnosis? Because it's almost difficult to say they were forced, they were just being led on, they followed. How do we establish rape? It's almost like this is what the person alleged to have raped them, this is the style of carrying out this crime. The ladies almost just allow it happen, they freeze, even though they're not willing. And then there's nothing that we can do.
They feel helpless.
So how do we establish, you know?
I mean, again, you know, law with me. I just know also I just did this 6-year thing and then I forgot what I learned after. But there are different ways of proving rape. One is bodily evidence. There's corroboration. There's the evidence of family members. There's all kinds of things. There's compelling witnesses under oath to speak. If Busola says that Pastor Wale and Pastor some other person were present and came to beg her to forgive him when she was 17, they can be compelled as witnesses. So there are a lot of ways to prove rape.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. It's been such a pleasure having both of you. Yeah, we have tweets. Let me take a few tweets, please.
Yes, so Sky Touch says, I don't agree it's rape. My question is, if it was a rape, why didn't she and her siblings report to the police? She did her wedding at the same church, accepts car as wedding gift from the same pastor who raped her. Please, can you tell us the truth
it's
about
all
this?
untrue. They were married at Harvesters Church. None of these things were...
And Timi has come out,
she
even shared a clip of the marriage ceremony. So it's also the thing about the power of social media that was discussed earlier, for good and for bad. This information is from social media and they've taken it. And also, I wanted to just clear Timi's name because I think this is important. Timi did not post Kemi's DM publicly. It was actually Kemi that did prove to show that she had reached out to Timi to ask for an interview. So it's not right to say that Timi had done that. Because
Kemi said that earlier, that Timi actually posted it. Unfortunately, we have to round up. Thank you so much for helping us clear the air. We wish you the best. We hope that Busola, alongside the remaining 5, were told that there are actually 5 witnesses. And you've only released 2.
And we've gotten over 100 people on notinmychurch.ng with their stories of abuse in church and outside church.
It's like this just starting, obviously. We wish you the best. And just to remind our viewers, Kemi Olunloyo earlier said she does not agree or subscribe to rape. Her issue was just trying to puncture holes or do her investigative journalism to see how true her story is. So it was not as if she's agreeing with rape. It's important we clear that up. But thank you again for coming to the show. Our intention is to ensure that every rape victim, especially girls out there, come out to share their stories and get justice. However, it should be noted that the opinions of our guests does not reflect that of TVC Communications. That's all we can take. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.